I don't really want to film this video.
Aww.
Hi, my name is Maddie. This is Fig, and today I'm going to address my exercise addiction. This is something that a few people have picked up on in some of my previous videos, and I think it's time that I address it, not only for myself to talk about, but to kind of clarify some things and get something off my chest that is definitely a very prevalent issue in my life. So I'm gonna put Fig down and then we're gonna get to the video. Okay, if you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Maddie and I've been documenting my eating disorder recovery journey for almost a year now. And today I will be, talking about my exercise addiction. So first things first, this is something that is very scary to me, almost more than food, or equally as terrifying as food, but I just don't talk about it because exercise in today's society is obviously seen as something that's good. You know, we've all been told that you should exercise more, you should walk more. And so to say that you have an exercise addiction is kind of controversial because a lot of people, not a lot of people, but when I have brought it up, sometimes people will say things like, oh, I wish I was addicted to exercise. And it's like, I'm not saying that I just love exercising and it's something I do every day. I have a problem. And this has been a real big contributing factor to my eating disorder. So before we get started, obviously trigger warning. I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to talk about calories. I'm going to talk about exercise. I'm going to talk about how much I do. I'm going to talk about different things. I'm not sure if I'm going to put in photos. I might put in some, but probably not some photos that show me at my sickest. I realize that eating disorders are not a size. You can be any weight and have an eating disorder, but I'm not going to include photos of me at my sickest, my lowest weight, because that can be extremely triggering and it's not necessary. But I do think it's helpful to have some images, so I don't know. We'll see what happens with that editing. So yeah, trigger warning. If you're easily triggered by talk of calories, numbers, exercise, or you're in a fragile place in your eating disorder, probably not the best time for you to watch this video. If you're interested in learning more about eating disorders and hearing more of my story, then continue, but know that, So this video is going to be more of a sit down and talk, not very fun editing style, because I want to get straight to the point and tell my story. So, one thing I should first say is I was diagnosed with an eating disorder in 2017. Before that, I was diagnosed with depression as well as anxiety and ADHD. These are real diagnoses. I was on medication for all of these things, and I also have OCD. So my OCD was really is a problem with the exercise because I do these routines and I just feel like I have to do these things. You know, it's like if you do 25 push-ups one day, I then have to do 25 push-ups every single day. And it's not like, oh, I exercise every day. It's these exact same routines over and over and over again. My OCD isn't the cleanliness stereotype of OCD that you often hear. I'm not trying to stereotype OCD, but for me, it's these regimented routines that I have to stick to. And if I stray away from my routine, I just get incredibly anxious and it often backfires with more exercise. So going back to the beginning, my childhood was normal. I grew up in Toronto, 3 brothers, 2 parents, dog, animals. It was whatever you would call it. I was a relatively active kid. I wasn't like a sporty kid, but I did have 3 brothers, so we would go biking all the time. We'd play all together. I was on the swim team, the soccer team, tennis, volleyball, track field, cross country. So I wasn't a teen or a kid that went to the gym to work out, but I was generally like a fairly active person. When I was diagnosed with depression, I stopped all the activities that I enjoyed. I holed up in my room and obviously gained weight. That's what happens when you stop being so active. It wasn't really a problem, my weight, for a while. It bothered me. I didn't like the way that I looked, but I never really did anything about it. During this time, I started to develop eating disorder behaviors, and that's kind of what took over when I was in my second year of university. I started calorie counting and engaged in eating disorder behaviors like bulimia and purging. And the purging was, the typical bulimia action that I'm not going to say, but many of you probably know, as well as exercise. So I started teaching myself what calories were, and I discovered that if you burn more calories than you consume, you're going to lose weight. And I went to the extreme. Within a year, I dropped 30 pounds, and then it became progressively worse. So at the beginning, when I started losing weight, people were complimenting me, you have so much willpower for skipping dessert, and congratulations on going for a run, or you look so great, you've lost weight. And that really was fuel to the fire of my eating disorder until I became too thin. And I loved it. In the middle of the eating disorder, it was control, it was safe, and the exercise was kind of my coping mechanism. I engaged in exercise to deal with my anxiety and stress of school. So throughout my last 3 years of university, I was really sick in my eating disorder. And I would skip class to go to the gym. I would get up early to go to the gym. I would, go up and down the stairs in class breaks. I wouldn't see friends because I was scared of drinking and liquid calories. So I was very isolated by myself, and I would just eat and count my calories and exercise. I somehow miraculously graduated from university and went on a backpacking trip through Europe with one of my best friends. Now, traveling is one of my favorite things. I feel free, I feel normal, I feel like me. So prior to leaving for this trip, I was doing upwards of 5 hours of exercise a day. Go to the gym in the morning, go to the gym between classes, work out after class, on top of walking everywhere. So when I went to Europe, I obviously wasn't doing as much exercise and going to the gym, so I inevitably gained weight. But I didn't really care. I was happy where I was. I loved traveling. So I kind of, I'm not gonna say healed myself, but I got to a better place. Then I came home and almost immediately went to Thailand, where I trained to be a yoga teacher for almost 3 months. And that was also amazing. I gained weight, but I didn't care. I was happy. I was spiritually in a great place doing yoga in Thailand, free on my own with people that I'd met, and I was having a great time. Then I came home, and it was October 2018, and I went on an assignment with an organization to do some photography and writing, which is what I do for work. So I ended up going to Guatemala for 2 weeks and loved it. I was working in this really small community. I ended up hiking a volcano halfway through on like a weekend that I had, and I was doing great. It was all fine until I came home in November 2018. That's when everything sort of collapsed on me. My eating disorder took over, the exercise took over, and my life was just calories, numbers, food, exercise, weight. I would get up in the morning, work out for a very long time, eat my minimal breakfast that was the exact same thing every day, then work out. Then I would probably get some errands done, just working. Actually, no, I was not working at this time. Between October 2018 and January 2018, I wasn't working. So for 3 months, my whole life was just food, exercise, burning more than I consumed, and it was literally torture in my head. Then I realized I needed to get a job, so I got a job as a hostess at a relatively fancy restaurant in Toronto, and I'd be standing for 8 hours a day. So on top of my extreme exercise routine, I would be standing all day and had to maintain this appearance that was the epitome of what a fancy person would look like, and I didn't really like it. So I was stressed, I didn't like my life, I was exhausted, and I dealt with that with more exercise. And at this point, I was literally just running on adrenaline. I had an Apple Watch, which I refuse to put on now because I was counting steps. I had to walk at least 30,000 steps a day, which was relatively easy when you're exercising so much and standing all day. I had to burn, a certain amount of calories at a certain point of the day. And if I didn't, then I'd go over the next hour, and I couldn't do it anymore. So I went to rehab, or not rehab, but like a residential eating disorder program. And it saved my life because it obviously had me stop so much exercise. But I've spoken about this before, and it was a residential eating disorder program, so it wasn't a hospital program, which I was almost admitted to, but refused. I was not ready to recover. Long story short, because it was a residential program, you're not supervised 24/7. So although my exercise was significantly decreased, I would still go for runs in the morning. I would still exercise in my room. So I was gaining weight because I was eating at a calorie surplus. I was in therapy. I was in group therapy. I was seeing dietitians, but although I was recovering, I was still exercising as a form of purging. So I came home, things were going well, and I decided to start a master's degree. Why? I have no idea. So 1 month after I was discharged from the residential program, I became a student in my master's program. That was not a good idea because it was very stressful. So by kind of the fall of that year, it would have been 2019, I started relapsing. I wasn't happy with my body. I didn't have time for therapy, so the thoughts on the weight gain really took over, and I got sick again. And the stress of school was just catching up to me, and once again, I turned to exercise as a way of coping. Now, at the beginning, it was a very harmless, half an hour morning routine, 20 push-ups, 10 burpees, whatever, very short, easy. But then what started happening is, one day I would do this half an hour routine, but then I'd add on a minute of jumping jacks. And then it became a half an hour routine plus a minute of jumping jacks. And then I'd add on, an extra set of squats. So it was the half an hour exercise plus the 1 minute jumping jacks plus the squats. And my OCD makes me do everything over and over again. So this half an hour routine quickly turned into a 2-hour regimented, exact same moves over and over and over again, and I could list it, but I'm not going to the point where it was just like random things like 137 mountain climbers. Like, I don't know why I chose 137, but I did. So I'd be doing that 2-hour routine before school, then going up and down the stairs at school, wouldn't see friends, eating, started counting calories again, decreased my calories, and my weight plummeted very quickly. And then COVID hit. Great. So I then turned back to eating disorder behaviors, the typical purging that I was sick with before. And my weight really, really, really dropped. So by, I guess it would have been the winter 2020 or 2019, just kind of like around Christmas. Oh no, at this point, I wasn't seeing any doctors. So I was really sick. I was exercising way too much and was just running on adrenaline. My body didn't have time to rest, so I just became very sick. And at one point during this time, I went to visit my grandparents in Florida, and I remember actually doing planks in the bathroom and jumping jacks in the airplane little stall and pacing while counting steps on my Apple Watch, because even though I was like going on a family vacation, I still had to hit all of these things. And that whole trip, I've spoken about this before, was just counting calories, and it was horrible. I was very sick. It was not a fun time. So summer 2020, COVID, great. I had an amazing internship lined up, and it went remote. So I was supposed to go to Ottawa, which is the capital city in Canada, and I ended up staying home. So I would spend all day doing my internship and then purging, exercising as much as I could, all that crap at night. Then I became my second year of my master's degree, which was also remote, and I was not a happy person. I was not healthy. And that's kind of when my doctor said, you need to literally be on bed rest because you're going to have a heart attack and die. I had an ECG or an EKG done that was basically telling me that if I went on a run, my heart could stop at any moment. So that was kind of when I filmed a video, one of my first videos, where I was in a bathroom and I was just kind of saying this is enough. So that was kind of my aha moment where I was like, Maddie, you need to get your shit together. And so I did. I created a team of dietitians and a nutritionist, and they've been helping me. And I don't know what it was in my head, but something clicked that was kind of like, you need to recover, like you're gonna die. So I did, and that's when I started this account. So throughout the past year that I've been documenting my recovery journey, I've done, knock on wood, very well with food. At the beginning, I had a list of 20 foods, your typical eating disorder things: rice cakes, cucumber, asparagus, strawberries, very low calorie things that I would only eat. Plain 0-fat Greek yogurt, like it was the same breakfast, lunch, dinner. I think I ate the same thing for almost a year, and I would never stray away from it. And looking back, that is crazy. Yeah, I was, as you can see throughout my progression of my videos, gaining weight, eating more, challenging myself. But one thing I never really disclosed was that I'm still exercising. And it's a lot. Some people go all in with their eating disorder recovery and cold turkey with the exercise. I tried that one time and it resulted in a binge and a purge, and I don't know why I can't do it, but I couldn't do it. So right now I address this in a recent video. I eat about 3,000 calories a day. And that's been difficult, but I'm doing it, and I'm going out for dinner, I'm seeing friends, I'm being more spontaneous with food, being more spontaneous with life, traveling, Costa Rica. But on the side, I still struggle with exercise. Not to the degree that I was before, but I still have about an hour routine that I do every day. And I'm running and walking everywhere. And I wanted to talk about this because I feel like I'm lying in my videos. I'm not blatantly saying that I'm not exercising, but it's just kind of probably a crucial component that I've been leaving out, and I'm scared to talk about it because I know I'm going to get some backlash about it, but this is me being honest. I have an exercise addiction, and I mean, like, it gives me extreme anxiety if I don't do it. I've tried not doing it, but then I just end up doing it later in the day. And it's getting hard, because I'm still eating so much. So I'm gaining weight and I'm still doing my exercises, but I'm trying not to also increase my exercises as my weight increases. I also want to acknowledge that I'm a relatively active person. I love being outdoors. I love surfing. I love hiking. So no matter where I am in my life, I know that I might not be a gym rat. I don't like the gym, so I know that that's just not going to ever be me. But I'm never going to be in a place where I'm just completely sedentary. But I hate this kind of exercise that I'm doing, and I want to stop, and I'm going to make a big effort to stop. So a typical day for me right now is I get up and I immediately exercise. And then I probably do about half an hour of yoga, which I do genuinely like. So the yoga is not a problem because I love it. Yoga is actually probably one of the things that's helping me. It's very healing to be connected with your mind, body, and soul. I find it very nourishing. So the yoga is something that I will always have in my life. It's not something I want to work on to get rid of because it's a non-issue. So after my workout in the morning, I'll have breakfast, but then I'll work out again and probably go for about an hour walk every day. Sometimes it's to get groceries, sometimes it's just to be outside. And I think I've been trying to convince myself that the walk is just something that normal people do. But if it's pouring rain outside and it's freezing, I'll still go for a walk. And I don't think normal people would do that. So yeah, this is me being honest. I have an exercise addiction. And it needs to be talked about more because, if you told me 10 years ago that I'd be addicted to exercise, I'd be like, okay, great, that sounds awesome. I would love to be addicted to exercise, but it's a problem. It's a real problem. I hate it. It's torturing. It's not a fun thing to do. I also do a lot of workout videos. I follow Sydney Cummings, who's great, but I follow her program, so I'll do a workout video on top of running, on top of exercising in my room, on top of other stuff. And I don't know. I'm just noticing that Fig has chewed this shirt. Thanks, Fig. Yeah, I don't really know what I wanted to say. I think I just wanted to be open and say that this is something I'm still struggling with. And I'm not going to say it's okay, because it's not okay. It's something I need to deal with. So maybe being open will encourage me to do more challenges that are less focused on food and more focused on reducing my exercise. I don't know, so maybe this is just another step, but yeah, if I were to give any advice to my younger self, it would be don't start working out to change yourself for other people. Work out because you genuinely enjoy it and know your limits. So if you set a goal, talk to a doctor and make sure that goal is feasible. Don't go over, and try not to get stuck in the trap of calorie counting and MyFitnessPal and low-calorie foods, because it's not a fun time. You don't want to spend your vacation pacing in the airplane bathroom or running at 4 in the morning. Running 8 kilometers a day every day with no rest days. That's the other thing too, is I have not had a rest day in years. I remember getting my COVID shot and feeling like absolute after my second dose. and still exercise. Like I wanted to literally vomit, not because of eating disorder, but because I was so sick. I'm just gonna ramble about this video. So the point is, yeah, like I've said, I have an exercise addiction. I want to deal with it. I'm being open because I want to be honest and real with this channel. So we're gonna get through it together. If you also struggle with exercise, or if you don't, or if you like exercise or you hate exercise, I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, gotta get a hold on that, Maddie. So if you've noticed that I've kind of been avoiding this topic, there it is. You've heard it now. So that's all for now. I have been talking for way too long. I'm sorry if it wasn't very interesting, and if you made it to the end, thank you. Let me know below if you, I don't even know what I want people to think. I just want people to, I don't really care. I do care. I care. Obviously I care. I care very much, and I'm very, that's one thing. I'll end it with this. It has been a hard year, but one thing I can say is that the support of this YouTube community has been incredibly helpful. I can't even begin to explain how much help it has been. So thank you to everyone for being so supportive and understanding and following along with my journey. And we'll see where the next year takes us. So yeah, take care. See you in the next video. Bye.